Okay, so this video is showing a typical police stop on 635. It's a little bit outside of Mesquite, and one of our clients has given us permission to actually repost this so you can see, as a potential client or attorney, whoever's watching this, how we actually review videos. You can see him stopped. He's got a LiDAR system that's attached to the back of his vehicle, and he's scanning cars as they're driving down the road. Now, right here you can see how he pulled over the truck, the red truck in the middle lane. Yeah, it looks like my computer's catching up on the stop here. He's doing a search of the driver's license, the license plate on the vehicle.
Original stop was 75 to 60. 15 over. Just stay seated, drop back with the circle. Any ambulance? You got any ambulance? You need to call an ambulance. Okay, stay seated, drop back.
Now you can see the driver had actually he told the officer that there was an emergency, and we used that in the actual trial. We went to trial in this case against the officer, because the officer was asking if he needed an ambulance instead of asking if he could assist. Our opinion of officers is that they are there to protect and serve, not just to issue tickets to generate revenue for cities.
Suspect was listening on the tree lane and started moving into one. That's why I got to 75 and jump back into 2.
Now the officer is alleging that he was in the fast lane, moved over into the middle lane, but the officer caught him in lane 1. The video doesn't show that. The video shows the truck in lane 2. The lanes are labeled from left to right, 1, 2, and 3, or 4 if there's a 4th lane. And the client's off to go help his sick family member, his wife. And that's the end of the video. And so if we can go back, what we'll do is we'll break it down into what an attorney looks for when he's actually looking at the videos. Now, you see where he's set up. The first thing we look at when as a defense attorney, when we're looking at videos like this, is what's traffic conditions. And you can see traffic conditions are medium. You know, they're pretty medium. And so then we look at the angle at which the LiDAR is going to hit the car that the officer is alleging that he clocked. And you can see here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 cars directly in front of this truck. as he's being pulled over. And so that laser has to go travel through those 4 vehicles in order to get a good shot. Now what the officer is saying is that I'm pausing it right there. What the officer is saying is that when he clocked this truck, that it was in this lane right here, the left-hand lane. But the video does not show that, and so that's circumstantial evidence. That's not evidence that any video actually shows, and so what you do see is that the vehicle was in this lane. All right, so we use that to basically challenge the perception of the officer and what the officer is actually saying. Now, again, laser can only travel from one point to another, and as it travels through space, I'm going to pause it right there, as it travels through space, it's a beam of light, and so it gets larger as it travels through space. The further away a laser is from a target, the larger the beam of light is as it travels through space. And so at basically 1,000 feet, that beam of light is a radius of 3 feet around. And so when you saw earlier in the video how closely packed those vehicles were behind each other, it's quite easy that beam of light could have hit any one of those other vehicles, even if it was pointed directly at this truck. And so it could have sent back a false reading, because those lasers don't say, hey, this red Dodge Ram truck going this fast. It just says a speed. That's all it says. And it's up to the officer to verify that speed and the object that he's hitting. And that's where the human error comes in on these types of cases.
Original stop, you go 75 and 60. Push it 15 over. Do favor, just stay seated, drop back with the sir.
Okay, now right there, the officer didn't ask if there was an emergency or anything like that that he was traveling to. He wasn't concerned with that. If he was, he would have asked. It's as simple as that. And again, in our opinion, an officer's job is to protect and serve first. Not to be so consumed with writing tickets to get grant money from the state that you don't even ask that simple question. And who brought that up was our client, the defendant. The defendant said, hey, I've got a sick loved family member that I'm trying to get to. My wife, she's pregnant. I'm trying to get on the road to get to her. And instead of the officer going, well, is there any assistance that I can provide? Can I lead you there? He just says, do you need an ambulance? And I guarantee you that if the client would have said yes, he still would have wrote this ticket.
You got an ambulance? You call an ambulance? Okay, stay seated, bro.
Okay, and so the law in Texas is that it's prima facie evidence of a speeding offense if you're going over the posted speed limit, which it's alleged that he was, 75 and a 60. However, that's just first evidence. It's a rebuttable presumption that shifts over to the defense that requires us to prove that the speed was reasonable and prudent under the circumstances then existing on the roadway that day. And so what we alleged in defense was that because we had a family member that was sick, that was basically reasonable and prudent under the circumstances then existing. And it worked really well on that day. So again, reasonable and prudent under the circumstances then existing gives a jury a lot of discretion. You know, a lot of people, especially prosecutors, they say, well, all I got to prove is that they went over the speed and then that's it. Well, that's the first part of the story, and that's true. That's all you got to prove is the speed, and then that's it, and that it was over the posted speed limit. But then that burden shifts over to me to establish that it was reasonable and prudent under the circumstances then existing. And it's hard for a jury not to consider when a loved one is in distress, reasonable and prudent under the circumstances then existing, when everybody on 635 is going 15 miles an hour over, and when you have a valid reason as to why that speed was going with the flow of traffic, and when you have an officer that's not necessarily concerned about the actual emergency of the situation, but more with writing the ticket. All those things compounded can really help you sway a jury into understanding your situation and finding a person not guilty, which was the case in this case. The defendant was found not guilty. Now, does that happen in every case? I can tell you absolutely not. I mean, we've had some pretty some cases that we thought we should have won based on situations like this, where a jury just, they were just hang 'em high juries, and they were going to believe the officer no matter what the person was going through. And so there's no guarantee that you're going to win when you go to trial. But this is just a brief, cursory look at what we look at as defense attorneys when we're asked by our clients to actually take a case to trial. So if you have a case that needs to go to trial in any city in the Metroplex, just know that you have attorneys that are experienced in looking at these videos, breaking them down, and coming up with the best possible defense to give you the best chance at success at trial. So feel free to call us if you need us. We can be reached at our 1-800 number, 1-866-921-3684, or our Metro line. That's our local line, which is 214-321-4105.